Ben 10 Omniverse. A character called Billy Billions, who's a villain. He was originally in Ben 10 Omniverse, but I may or may not have found something secret about him. So, he went to middle school with Ben, in Omniverse anyway. Had a rivalry with Ben, hated him, sat behind him in class. Ben took all the popularity away from him. I'm doing quotes right now, you can't see it. He should have been running that school. But there's something weird about that scene. Ben doesn't even remember who he is. He sat behind him in middle school, so you'd think you would remember somebody sitting behind you and going to school with. Now, it's hard to remember that stuff, but how does one forget this face? Moving on, so my theory is that the one from there, also in the Ben 10 reboot, there's another villain called Billy Billions. Outfit, it's the same character, just for the reboot. The reboot is weird like that. Same, but the thing is, they look almost entirely alike, except for the art style. So let me get straight to the point. So, when I first saw they were making the Ben 10 reboot, I thought, oh great, a reboot of the best show in the world. But then something hit my mind. Ben 10 has a huge multiverse built up. What if it's not a whole new start over story, everything else has been retconned, it's just starting it back from the beginning? What if this is just another universe in that Ben 10 multiverse? What if the reason Ben doesn't remember Billy is because in the main universe, there is no Billy? Dude, you are crazy for thinking that, is what you're probably saying to my video right now. But let me explain, because this actually makes a lot of sense, and whenever I thought of this, I had to make a video about it. And as you know, I don't make videos like this, but when I thought of this, I had to. So if Billy from the reboot is the only Billy, then that would mean the original Ben would never even have heard of him. Check that off the list right there. Oh, by the way, I'm going to leave a link in the comments. I'm going to pin the comment. It takes you to the original clip for Billy Billions, his backstory. So, he doesn't remember him, but there is a small flashback scene in his first appearance that kind of shows where Billy comes from. And it does show Ben in the Omniverse art style, obviously, in his original show clothing. So like the white t-shirt with the black stripe, you know what I'm talking about. It shows him in that clothing, which is not what the reboot Ben wore. But what if they were trying to hide it? They would have had to change his outfit because, you know, the viewers at that point in time didn't know the reboot was coming after Omniverse. But then again, with the timing, I'm not sure that the producers did either. From this point on, I highly recommend you go watch the clip from Omniverse before watching the rest of this video, because the rest of this video is going to be covering stuff from that clip. I probably should have said that before I mentioned the checklist. Huh? Oh, you're back. Okay, good. So, now that you've watched the clip, sorry, just moving around a little bit. Now that you've went and watched the clip, you should probably be thinking, okay, so he got sent to another dimension, not into the original timeline. So, what are you trying to say here? Well, I'm saying, what if his flashback was in the reboot timeline? All of that flashback was in the reboot's reality. Meaning that whenever he accidentally blasted himself out of that reality and into Dimension 12, got trapped there for 5 years, frozen in time technically, what I'm saying is whenever he built the portal back home, it didn't take him back home. There was a small malfunction and it took him to the original universe, which explains why the original Ben doesn't remember Billy at all. Even further, in the reboot, there's a lot of fights between Ben and Billy. They have kind of a rivalry going on, especially in laser tag. So, what I'm saying is that Billy recognized Ben on sight, probably because of all this in the reboot that's happening. I mean, he tried to take the Omnitrix from him. That's a bit much. I think if I were Ben, I would remember a kid trying to take the Omnitrix from me. So when he got trapped in Dimension 12, he took control of the robots that were killing everything and everything they created. Whenever they noticed him, they went after him. He hid for a while, made a lab. You saw the flashback, you know what happened. So whenever he made the portal back home, it went to the original timeline, which is why Ben doesn't recognize him. So, with that in mind, like I said earlier, I would remember a kid trying to take the Omnitrix from me if I were Ben. So why doesn't he remember? Because Billy never existed in the original timeline. Billy went from the reboot universe to Dimension 12 to the original universe. Kind of like with in Ultimate Alien, whenever the episode with Eon happened, Wynn tried to reveal secrets and it accidentally led to the Race Against Time timeline. It's kind of a similar thing. Instead of doing what it was intended to do, it took him to the original timeline. Now, what I'm wondering is, why did it take him to the original timeline? Was it a malfunction? Was it Professor Paradox? Was it Eon? Who knows? Okay, probably not Eon. What could Eon do with Billy? I don't think we'll ever really find out, though, because the original timeline is over, but I guess we'll have to see. I don't care what the producers say, I believe this. Let me know in the comments what you think. Somebody send this to a more popular cartoon theorist so that this thing can get more attention, because I've never seen this before ever.